Let's start this episode by taking a deep breath in. So inhale right in through your nose to your heart. And hold it at the top, feeling that breath expand your heart space. And then exhale, as if you are exhaling that beautiful breath through your soul. I don't know about you, but I love to begin that way. So welcome, my beloveds, to another beautiful episode of The Reclamation. I am Paula Collins, your host, Magdalene Priestess, intuitive sound healer, Reiki master, and spirituality mentor. And today I want to speak from the depths of my heart about something that is the core of true transformation. It is the art and the sacred process of transmutation. Now, you've heard the words release, heal, let it go. And these are foundations of the spiritual journey. But what if I told you that this is only the beginning? What if I told you that the real shift, the true reclamation, happens when we go way beyond release and we step into transmutation? For so long, we've been taught that true healing means getting rid of what hurts. That releasing means cutting the ties with what no longer serves us. And while there is so much beauty in the letting go, it's still only part of the story. Because when you think about it, what happens after we release? And what fills the space that is left behind? Too often, when we release and release and release, we still find ourselves circling back to the same patterns, the same emotions, and the same wounds. They're just wearing new faces now. Can you feel that? How many times have we sat with a ritual or gone to a healer to release, and then a week, a month, a year, 5 years later, that wounding resurfaces, or that pattern comes back, or those false narratives are still in our ear? We truly believe from the bottom of our hearts and souls that this pain, that these stories, that the betrayal, the heartbreak, the shame, it's quieted for a while because we feel like we've healed. But underneath, that energy still lingers, especially if it is untransmuted, unintegrated, and unseen. Because, my friends, my beautiful, beautiful friends, this old paradigm of healing was built on the belief that pain is something we escape. It's something that we can get away from. That if we've talked to enough therapists about the pain, if we've written enough things down on paper and we've thrown it into the fire, or if we've had enough to drink, enough to smoke, enough to eat, that we can somehow escape. If we scroll enough on our phones, or we listen to enough upbeat music, that it's going to be gone forever. But here's the thing, true healing, the kind that awakens your power, it's asking you to do something radically different. And maybe a little scary at the same time. And confusing. And if we don't have direction when we're doing it, we get lost. See, true healing asks you to turn towards your pain with compassion. Let me say that again. True healing asks you to turn toward your pain with compassion. It asks you to sit with your fear, to sit with your grief, to sit with your anger, to sit with your betrayal, to sit with the I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy, I'll never measure up. And as we sit with it, we do it not as enemies, but instead we do it as messengers. We're not the messenger. All of those things that I spoke about, the fear, the grief, the anger, the not enoughness, the betrayal, the heartbreak, those are messengers. And when we sit with the messenger, with compassion, without judgment, without escaping, something different happens. Because the things that we are calling heaviness or a blockage is often simply truth that is wrapped up in distortion. So your fear, your grief, your anger, your feelings of not enoughness, your false narratives have truth with it, but it's become so distorted by all of the noise and everything that's attached to it. Because this truth that is a part of it is the truth that we have created from it. See, when we experience these things that cause the fear, that cause the grief, that cause the anger, when we internalize the false narratives that tell us that we're not enough, when we have sat through the heartbreak and the betrayal, and we have allowed it to take root in us and become part of our narrative, part of our truth, and then we keep going back to it, the roots grow stronger. That truth that we have created, that story that has come out of all of it, has colored the way we see ourselves and the way we see the world. Let me also say that this is not to make us feel bad. This is not to make us feel defeated. This is to bring it to light. Because when we bring light towards our pain, towards our false narratives, it presents an opportunity for us. A great big opportunity. An opportunity that is so big and allows for much deeper, permanent transformation. See, that's the hope in all of this. That is where hope lies. When we can look at it as a messenger, when we can come to it with compassion, with love, with kindness, with gentleness, with forgiveness, we have a huge shift in our mindset and in the way we see ourselves. And so to truly step into your empowerment, to start to reclaim the parts of you that you've forgotten, abandoned, or hidden, you must go beyond healing. You must go beyond healing. Think about a wound that you receive. Say you fall down and you skin your knee, or as what happens with me more often than not when I'm in the kitchen cooking and I get to play with sharp knives, you cut yourself and you bleed, right? Sometimes it can involve stitches and a trip to the emergency room. Been there, done that. But sometimes what happens is as the wound, the physical wound is healing, the body creates a scab. And that scab is protection. But if the body didn't do more, if it didn't create new cells within us to heal through the layers of the cut, we might remain with that scab forever. But the body goes through an actual process of healing and transmutation by creating new skin cells to fit in to the place that was opened up by something. And when it does that, when we look, we might have a little scar. If you've ever had stitches, you know what the scar is all about. I've got them on my hands and other places, right? We might have a scar, but in order for everything else, that scar becomes less and less. It goes from angry red to pink, back to flesh tone. And sometimes we have to start looking even closer and closer and closer to find it, because the body rebuilds. It puts something in place of where that scab or the stitches were that is going to be stronger, that is going to be life-giving. And that is what we must do for ourselves. We have to learn how to transmute beyond the healing, beyond laying on the Reiki table, beyond the meditation, beyond the EFT tapping rounds, beyond the sound healing, beyond the mindset work. Because the pain, the false narratives, the heaviness, these are not just random emotional experiences. They are the echoes of the conditioning. They are the layers of programming that told you that you were too much, you're not enough, your voice didn't matter, your truth isn't safe, right? And somewhere along the line, as I've said before, we adopted those lies as truth. And we built our identities around them. And so as we start to come face to face with the lies, with the false identities, with the masks that have been such a huge part of our lives, some of them might stem from childhood, adolescence, and believe me, when you add hormone fluctuations of adolescence to anything, or the physical maturation of just growing up to those lies and to those false truths, they get stronger and stronger and stronger. But my beloved friends, the work of transmutation isn't about throwing those parts away. It's just about looking at them through new eyes. With the eyes of the divine, with the compassion of the divine, with the love of the divine, and saying, I see you. I understand why you formed. I get it. But you no longer define me. And this is the sacred art of inner alchemy. See, in ancient alchemy, the great work, the magnum opus, if you will, was to turn lead into gold. But I want you to not forget something that's important here. It was never just this physical act. It was a spiritual metaphor. So let's look at it this way for a minute. That lead that we were talking about, that's our dense emotions, like shame, guilt, grief, anger, fear. That's the really dense emotions. That's that heaviness. That's that false narrative. Okay, but the gold in this, the gold is our deep divine essence. It's the love. It's the wisdom. It's the power. It's the compassion. It's the truth. And this gold, this divine essence, this is the prized thing. This is what shines brightly. You know, if you think about a piece of gold jewelry, you can look at it on your finger, in your ears, around your neck, right? But when you have this gold and the light is shining on it, it gets brighter. Sometimes it even gets warmer, right? And spiritual transmutation is this conscious process of transforming all of that lead, those dense emotions, into the gold, into our divine essence. So it's not about pushing away the darkness. The darkness is not bad. And my friends, we have been taught to fear the darkness. We really have. Because all of the scary movies, there's so much darkness in it. And, a friend of mine had suggested a series to me on Netflix that she thought I might like. And I was watching it. And as I was watching it, it was so dark. And we become afraid of the dark. But when we refuse to, when we take a chance and we go into the darkness, then it becomes about transforming it through awareness, love, and intention. Did you hear that? It's about transforming it through awareness, love, and intention. And there's always this process, isn't there? And it begins with awareness. It begins with allowing yourself to feel, naming what you feel without judgment. And there is a caveat to this because some of us may have lived with these emotions, with these feelings for such a long time, we've forgotten what they are called. But when we allow ourselves to sit with it and to feel it and to not judge it, but we allow ourselves to hold ourselves and these feelings with love and without judgment, things start to pop up because we are not backing away in the fear. We are not numbing ourselves. We stop running away. And so it comes up, and they come up one at a time. They do. And we allow it one at a time. We don't have to feel all of them at once. We don't have to name all of them at once. We just feel one at a time. And after we get to that place of feeling it without judgment, then we come to acceptance. We accept that feeling. And we allow it to exist within us as part of our story. Because that feeling, that emotion is not bad. It is not bad, my beautiful friends. It is part of what makes us who we are. It's when we allow it to be the only narrative. It's when we allow it to consume us. But when we can accept that it is a part of our story, and we don't run away, and we accept it, and we say, okay, it played its role where it was, but I am not stuck there anymore. I see it. I see how it came about. I understand maybe the situation or why I held on to it, why I wore it like a badge of honor. I understand how it may have protected me for a moment, but it's only part of my story. It's not the whole story. Because we get to turn the page, and the page is now blank. It is now blank. and we get to rewrite it. And after the awareness and after the acceptance, now we move into the transmutation. We invite in the divine energy. We invite in the divine breath. We invite in the divine light to change its frequency. And when we do that, it becomes this huge shift within us. Our pain, which was very real, which is really very real, can become our purpose. My friends, my pain from the bullying, my pain from the rape, I will say the word rape. And I know that that can be a trigger for people, and I'm sorry. But my pain from that became my purpose. It is why I do what I do. It is why I created this podcast. It is why I create my free offerings. It is why I create my programs. Because my purpose is to take beautiful individuals like yourself and help them go through the process of awareness, acceptance, and transmutation. It is the shift from fear to courage. And for some people, that can be a humongous leap. I get it. Fear is an anchor. It's not an anchor, it's a weight. That is like an anchor. You know how they drop an anchor and it doesn't allow you to move? It is a paralysis. Fear is a paralysis. Yes, we need to have healthy fears to things. I'm not saying be courageous and go stand in front of a bear. No, no, healthy fear is okay. What I'm saying is those fears that we have, when we shift from fear to courage, we are saying, you know what? I still feel the fear. The first time I went live on social media, oh, let me tell you, there was fear. There was anxiety. I almost didn't do it. I turned on and off my social media 4 times before I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it afraid. And you know what? If my voice quivers a little bit, if it gets shaky, if I cry, who cares? It's only showing my authenticity. And authenticity is not a bad thing. Courage is looking at the fear, saying, I see you, I accept you, but I'm moving forward anyway. Anger shifts from anger to power. Anger is good. Anger can be a catalyst to drive us forward, especially in this world we live in today. There's a lot to be angry about. There is a lot. And for some people, it's overwhelming. We can get to a point where the anger consumes us and we strike out. See, anger, when we do not have a plan for how we are going to transmute it, it is destructive. It truly is. But when we channel that anger, when we create a plan, we move from anger into power. We use the anger to fuel us, to become the change we want to see in the world, to speak out about the change that needs to happen, to join the movements that are helping to create some change in the world. And I'll take you back a few years. When I found out that human trafficking was a real thing, and I started to meet women who were trafficked, I was so angry. And as somebody who had felt the pain of being hurt and betrayed by having sex used against me in a very harmful way, that anger was something. And you know what? I then found ways to channel that into power, to going to rallies, to going to things to learn more about human trafficking so I could speak out about it, to supporting organizations that are out there with boots on the ground, helping the women, the children, and the men, because it is not just women who are trafficked. It is not just little children. There are men who are hurt by this too. And supporting those, telling people about those, letting people who were just getting out of human trafficking, hooking them up, giving them the places that could help them. See, that is taking the anger and channeling it into power. To going places and offering my service pro bono for free to help women start to embrace the fact that they can come out on the other side, that they can begin the healing process, and that it's gonna take a long time. But to then take their pain and turn it into purpose, their anger and turn it into power. And that is huge. Then the next one, and it's huge. Oh my gosh, it is huge for so many of us. It's shame. How many of you feel that somewhere in your body? Shame because of something you did or something that happened to you. Shame has the lowest vibration. It's right above being dead. You know, whereas death is a 0 vibration, I think shame vibrates at like 10 or 20. Excuse me. It's really low. But when we are willing to look at and sit with our shame, when we are willing to sit with how it came to be a part of who we are, we can then start to move into this beautiful acceptance and allowing it to be a part of our story. I know I had to. Definitely. I carried shame from what happened to me. I carried shame for the ways I covered it up, the ways I hid it, of what happened. I get it. But all that shame does is prevent us from getting to the other side, which is deep self-love. Because our story begins to rewrite itself when we get to a point of saying, I love myself, even though this happened, even though I did this. I love myself unconditionally. And those things that I did, yeah, they're a part of my story. They're a part of it. Sure. I can't get rid of them. I can't heal my way out of it and throw it away. Still there. But getting to the other side of it and saying, you know what? I'm going to love myself in spite of this because I am deserving and I am worthy of loving myself. Because when we begin to love ourselves, we have more love to give other people. And we learn that love is not conditional. We learn it's unconditional. We learn that we don't have to do anything, be something different, show the world a different side of us to be in this place of love. No. We learn that it is something that has so much divine energy, breath, and frequency and light behind it, that it becomes a part of our deep essence, a part of us. And when we start to love ourselves, we show up differently in the world, don't we? We really do. We show up with more confidence. We show up empowered. We show up as somebody who says, I will not accept anything less than unconditional love and compassion and kindness and gentleness and unforgiveness in my life. I won't accept it because I am worth so much more than that. I am no longer this piece of lead, this piece of shame. I am this beautiful golden nugget of self-love. And then there's grief. And oh my goodness, you cannot be alive and not experience grief. It is impossible to not experience grief. And grief comes in so many different forms. Grief from people that we've lost, friends that we've lost, loved ones, pets. Grief from what may have been stolen from us as a part of our childhood or adolescence or early adulthood. Grief from maybe not getting the dream job. Grief from, there's so many things that cause grief, that cause deep sorrow. Grief from the state of the world and how marginalized people are being treated, right? So much grief. And it's not a bad thing, but when we get stuck in the grief, what happens? We become a shell of who we are. We have no motivation to move forward. I remember in 1995, and yes, you will hear my voice break and crack, when my dad died. My dad was my best friend. I pretty much thought that my dad was the perfect man. And I measured all other men by him because I felt he was so perfect. And no human is perfect. But to me, I was daddy's little girl. So, what can I tell you? But my grief from his death, from that loss, was so deep. Oh my gosh. And I had a 1-year-old at the time. And I went through the motions of trying to be a good mom. And when she was awake, I really tried. I did. But when she took a nap, I would sit at the window and I would stare outside into nothing because the world no longer had color. It was black and white. It was gray. It's actually just gray. There was no white. There was no black. It was just gray. And I would stare out that window. And I finally realized one day that when she woke up from the nap and I heard her on the baby monitor, I heard her wake up And she was just up in her crib playing, and she was laughing. And I could hear her pushing the buttons on this little interactive mirror that was in there. And I went upstairs and I saw her beautiful smiling face when she saw me. And something in me said, Paula, you got to change. You've got to get out of this. This is not who she deserves to have as a mom. It's not. She deserves a mom who is there 100%, not 50, not 25%, but 100%. A mom who celebrates all of the stuff that is her. And so I made the choice to go to grief counseling. And believe me, there was shame in knowing I couldn't do it myself. But I went. And do you know what I learned on the other side of grief? There is compassion. There is a deep compassion that we get to feel for ourselves and what we experienced. And that compassion then helps us to move forward in the world and be that compassionate person to another person who is experiencing grief. To another, yes, we get to do that for another person. And that compassion softens us. And that compassion starts to heal us. And that compassion helps us to accept the thing that causes us the grief that then is the catalyst to move forward. It's all true. And it helps us in so many ways. My friends, your body is not the enemy. It is the crucible where the transformation takes place. It is. It is every emotion, every memory, every belief that has been stored somewhere within your cells. And when we start to breathe consciously, to move intentionally, or give a voice or a sound to our truth, yes, that's what I wanted to say. We are stirring the energies. We are stirring up these energies that have long been stagnant. See, because this transmutation isn't about just thinking it, believing it, writing the affirmations, tapping it out, going for a Reiki session, sitting through sound bowls. It's not that. It's not just dancing it out. See, all of this helps us to stir up the energies that have long been stagnant within us. And this is where the remembering takes place of who we are, who we came here to be, and how we are supposed to share our message. See, because then our breath becomes fire, right? Becomes fire. And fire, if you think about the phoenix, and I love this visual, and I know we talk about the phoenix and all of that all the time. I know that comes up everywhere. But our breath becomes the fire that causes the transmutation to take place. And if you've seen, the story of the phoenix, or why it is such an alchemical symbol of transmutation, or you've watched Harry Potter, and Dumbledore's phoenix turns to ash, right? It's important to burn it up, because then it begins to rebuild. If you've ever been somewhere where fire has ravaged the land, we know what it looks like. It is black, it is ashy. It looks like death. But eventually, that fire actually healed the land in some way, because growth comes out of that. The little green shoots start to come up and it starts to recreate. Our heart becomes the vessel, right? Because we feel everything so deeply in our hearts. Let's be honest, right? It's all here. Our heart becomes so heavy, and it wasn't meant to be heavy, but our heart becomes this vessel of the rebirth. Our heart starts to beat again. We start to feel the faintness of that heartbeat, and it gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and the light gets brighter and brighter and brighter and expands more and more and more, because it's the vessel through which our purpose, our courage, our power, our love, our compassion, our kindness, our generosity, and our forgiveness are reborn. And our soul is the alchemist. That deep part that lives in our heart, it is the alchemist. It is the one that takes the lead and creates the gold, because our soul knows the truth. Our soul understands the truth. Our soul gets the truth. Our soul says, I am so much more than this. Allow me to help you through the transmutation, because this is where we reclaim our power, not by running from the shadow, but becoming the light that transforms it. So I want to take you through a short, guided, alchemical practice. So if you are in a safe space to close your eyes, I invite you to do that now. I invite you to take a deep breath in through your nose, filling you up so completely. Maybe this is the deepest, most beautiful breath you've taken all day. And as you exhale softly, allow your body to begin to relax into the chair you're sitting on, the floor you're sitting on, the pillow you're sitting on, the recliner you're in, the bed you're laying in. Allow your body to relax. And I want you to bring your awareness to your beautiful heart space. Bring your breath there. Bring the divine light there. Bring your awareness to it. Maybe you need to place your one hand or both hands on your heart center. Maybe, I know I have some clients who enjoyed first tapping at their heart space because they feel like they're bringing it back to life, and then they place their hands there. Bring your awareness there. And now I want you to call to mind something that's felt heavy lately. Maybe it's an emotion, a memory, or some false narrative that you've been holding. Bring it to your mind. Do not judge it. Just bring it to mind. Now feel into where it lives in your body. Don't force it to move, just notice. Does it feel like a weight on your shoulders that you've been carrying so long? Does it feel like this lump in your throat that doesn't allow you to speak your truth? Does it feel like a knot in your gut? Does it feel like stiffness in your limbs? Does it feel like you're in quicksand and your body is sinking? But where does it live? Just notice it. And once you find it, I want you to, with every inhale, I want you to imagine a warm golden light in your heart. And with every exhale, allow the light to grow. Every inhale, you feel more warm golden light into your heart. And every exhale, it expands, it grows. See, that's the golden light of the divine. Can you feel it? Can you feel a warmth growing there? Can you feel it? Maybe at that area, maybe you have a hand over your heart and it's growing warmer. And then I want you to imagine that golden light going to the place where you feel the heaviness, where you feel the emotion, where you feel the memory, where you feel the story. See it, surround it. See how it surrounds it. It is not destroying it. That golden light is there to transform it, but watch as it surrounds it. Allow it, give it permission to surround it. Maybe you need to tell yourself, I allow this warm golden light in my heart to now surround this heaviness, this emotion, this memory, this story. I give it permission. Maybe we have to give it permission because we haven't allowed that before, and that is okay. And then I want you to whisper to yourself, I am the alchemist of my soul. Say it again, whisper it again. I am the alchemist of my soul. Maybe it feels strange to say it. Maybe it's hard to say it. But try again. I am the alchemist of my soul. Allow that truth, because it is a truth, allow it to keep reverberating in you. I am the alchemist of my soul. I am the alchemist of my soul. Just keep saying it. Keep whispering it. And allow yourself to feel it. Allow yourself to start believing the truth that you are the alchemist of your soul. And then I want you to whisper, I turn pain into wisdom. I turn fear into courage. I turn shadow into light. I turn pain into wisdom. I turn fear into courage. I turn shadow into light. I turn pain into wisdom. I turn fear into courage. I turn shadow into light. And let that golden light move through you. Let it move up your spine. Let it go up through your throat, through your third eye, through your crown chakra. Let it descend from your heart down. Let it descend into your solar plexus, into your sacral chakra, into your root chakra, down your legs, down your arms, into your hands, into your feet. Let that light move through your chest. Let it move out into the world. And allow yourself to feel the shift. Allow yourself to feel the lightness. and allow yourself to feel the power that comes from within. Breathe into the shift. Breathe into the lightness. Breathe into the power. It is yours. It is yours, my beautiful friends. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out and open your eyes. Beloved, this is what true healing looks like. It's not about bypassing what hurts. It's not about allowing what hurts to become holy. It's when we transmute our pain and we reclaim our light. It's when we embrace our shadows and we awaken our power. You are not broken. You have never been broken. Release that false narrative. Believe the truth that you are an alchemist, that you have the power within you. Every challenge you've faced, every heartbreak you've endured, all of it was a sacred initiation into remembering who you truly are. The one who turns pain into purpose, the one who brings heaven to earth through her very being. This, my beautiful friends, this is your reclamation. This is your truth. Thank you so much for joining me in this sacred space today. If this message spoke to your soul, I invite you to share it with someone who needs this to remember. Share it with a sister, share it with a friend. Allow them to hear the message that they are the alchemist of their life. And if you want to leave a comment here, or if you want to message me on social media at Serene Wellness with Paula on Instagram, or at Serene Paula on TikTok, feel free to do that. I would love to know how this landed for you. And until next time, remember, you are the light, you are the fire, and you are the alchemist of your own becoming. And so until next time, all of my love to you. Bye-bye for now.